What's up, Dylan Hughes here, back in Costa Mesa, California at my shop for another whip check. This is my practice car E36. I bought this car when I lived up in Seattle for $1,600 and I thought I was totally getting ripped off. So it was sitting in someone's yard. They were gonna do an M3 interior swap. So basically they just ripped all the old interior out and that was it. So I go there, there's no dash, no interior whatsoever, no seats, no nothing, and the dude gave me the car with a key and the ignition was still in it, so I fired it up, no gauges, no nothing, and it actually started, which I was surprised about. And then he gave me a lot of M3 interior pieces, probably definitely not all of it, in boxes. So 1,600 bucks, I threw the interior back in it and started dailying it and started playing with it, and this is kind of what made me fall in love with the BMW chassis, this car right here. So 200,000 miles on the motor and chassis. Drifted it a whole bunch back in Washington, like as it rained all the time, it had just enough power, and came down to Southern California, and during COVID, we just decided that we needed to turbo this thing. So that's exactly what we did. So again, stock motor. I wanted to 1J it, but my buddy Sam from 412 Motorsports convinced me to turbo this M50 that's in this car. So pulled the motor out, literally pulled the head off of it, dropped it off at the machine shop, surfaced the head because it had gotten hot a couple times and they said it was the flattest BMW head they've ever seen, which is totally mind-blowing. Pressure washed the short block, literally with no head on it, just because it was covered with like this much dirt all over the whole thing and oil and grease and everything. So pressure washed it without the oil pan on it, no head on it. WD-40'd the heck out of it, and then got the head back, did a cut ring and head studs and a cut ring gasket for it. I did a Garrett G25 550 turbo. It's got an $80 eBay manifold, a cast manifold that I modified. It's got a used Turbo Smart wastegate on it. We did a Link plug-and-play ECU. I put a 12-pound wastegate spring in it. It boost creeps to 14 and it does 410 to the wheels on ethanol. So this is probably my favorite car that I have. This thing is like unbelievable amount of fun to drive. It's super light. It's got all stock parts in it, stock diff, stock axle, stock transmission, stock engine. Just upgraded to the M stuff, so I absolutely love this car and I'm so glad that I decided to turbo this motor. So yeah, we just did injectors, did a couple gaskets in it, some Radium crankcase breathers. I made the charge pipes, mounted the intercooler, and the thing absolutely shreds. The Link ECU on this thing is perfect, so really stoked on it. HGK body kit. So this body kit is one of 2 in the United States for the E36. This came from my buddy Chris Tapps. So he sent that over for us, and I think it looks absolutely killer, and it's a very unique looking car. And we have big Duck Club side skirts on it, just because I kind of wanted it like a little bell bottom, kind of cool J style looking. Ford Star F14 wheels, same shocks that are on my comp car. SLR steering in the front, Parshot Max arms in the rear. Stock steering column, stock rack, stock power steering pump, pretty much stock everything, and it absolutely jams. Check the inside. So on the inside, I didn't put a dash in it, and that's mostly because Formula Drift makes you have a dash, and I don't want to run a dash if I don't want to, so I didn't put one in it, and I think I like the way that it looks. So Link digital display running with that plug-and-play Link ECU. We did a Hardstock Racing Unicorn Garage chassis harness for this one, and we were able to use the factory engine harness. Factory pedals, you can see that the pedal that mounted to the floor ended up breaking, and now I just have this little rod, and that is the gas pedal that I have had in this car literally since the second day I owned it. I went drifting in it the second day I had it, the gas pedal broke and it stuck the gas pedal to the floor, so it was bouncing off the rev limiter for like 30 seconds until I could like get the pedal unstuck, and then I just basically ripped it out there and left it, and now I think it's hilarious, so that's why I've kept it that way. Momo seats, Momo steering wheel, custom little handbrake setup that we got going on here. This is my buddy Proto Joe, makes this little cutout piece for the 36, pretty clean. Just a little eBay shifter. We do have a ZF transmission in this one, so it's a E36 M3 trans, ACT clutch as always. ACT clutches, we've had great luck in all of our cars with it, whether it be the diesel wagon, this car, or the triples that we run in the comp car. Absolutely love it. So super simple, again, super simple cage. So we turboed it. The episodes we did were turbo the daily, and then all of a sudden this car was fast and I decided that it needed some safety stuff. So then we did cage the daily, and just like usual, keeping this thing nice and tight, stitch weld the A-pillars, got it stitch welded all the way up top, nice and clean, everything, and all done by yours truly. So really, really stoked on this car. And then looking in the back, we have these bead rolled aluminum panels in the back. Just trying to keep it nice and clean, trying to keep some of the smoke out of this thing, separate the fuel cell from the driver's compartment. Nice clean battery mount and steel of paint on everything as usual. So pretty dang simple in here. There's not a whole lot. There's nothing in here if you don't need it. If you don't need it, let's check the back. So in the back, HGK trunk that came with the body kit. I think it looks really good. Fiberglass, super light. We have an HM Sports rear window wing. I had to make these custom little supports because I didn't know how else to mount it. I think it kind of looks pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with it. Stock rear bumper. And in the trunk, I don't really have any sort of trunk tie downs, but these hinges kind of have like a little bit of preload to them. And we'll say that's what keeps the trunk closed. And I've chucked it backwards and it's never popped up yet. So I'll probably just leave it like that for a while. Just like all my cars, Radium Engineering 10-gallon fuel cell, so it's got the FCST, so it's got triple pumps inside of there, 1 low pressure, high volume, and then 2 high pressures inside of the little tank that go to the engine. This car is on ethanol, Ignite Red, and just like always trying to keep this thing nice and clean. When I mounted that fuel cell, I got rid of the spare tire area because that sticks way down, and when you look at the car from the back, it's got this big weird thing that sticks down. So I cut all that stuff out, ended up bead rolling a new piece to go in the back, and then there was a battery little piece that sticks down as well. So bead rolled these nice pieces. I think it looks pretty clean, and then had to figure out how to mount the Radium Engineering fuel cell. And cool part about these is that they come with their own little bracket that you like weld down to the floor, but the problem was to get the fuel tank out, I couldn't go up high enough. So I ended up cutting it up and getting a little bit custom. And so what I do to take the fuel tank out is I unbolt these right here, and then I can take the back off of the fuel cell, and then I unbolt it and slide it out backwards, which I've never seen anybody do that before. So kind of a little trick. I'm kind of stoked on that. This is where you fill the fuel right here, little fuel vent, just like usual, trying to keep it nice and clean. And if you notice, the trunk sits a little bit crooked on here. Like it's like touching the light over there, and then there's like a big gap over there. And that's just because we whacked this thing off several walls, several times. So not really surprising, but the whole back of the car is a little bit crooked. So I do plan on getting that fixed, but we haven't really gone in too deep. But this is from Odie running into me at one of the Grid Life events, but that happens. And you know, overall running Falcon tires on this thing, 400 wheel is like the absolute most magic number ever. I'm so happy with this car, and it's just an absolute blast to drive. Reliability is insane. Cannot believe that that thing has 200,000 miles on that, and I just whack it off the limiter every single time I drive it, all the time, and it just seems to love it. So definitely one of the funnest cars that I own for sure.